Everybody tells you to do what you love. That's the dream, right? Turn your passion into your career and you'll never work a day in your life. I've heard that many times. But here's the part that nobody talks about. Doing what you love can actually destroy you. That happened to me, and what started as my passion, visual storytelling and building a video business that I was proud of, eventually left me drained, broken, and questioning if I even wanted to keep going. And in this video, I want to share the dark side of doing what you love. My story of how passion turned into burnout and how I recovered, and the guardrails that I built into my own life so that it never happens again. And I want to share this with you because if you're chasing your dream right now, this might save you from hitting the same wall that I did. Here's how this video will flow. First, we're going to talk about the trap of passion and hustle. Then the warning signs of burnout that I ignored myself. And third, the steps that I took to rebuild my passion without losing myself. So let's start from the beginning. When I started my business, I was passionate about it. My thing was video. I loved it. The cameras, the storytelling, the whole process of turning an idea into a tangible visual. And by this point, I'd already done weddings. I'd already failed once at building a commercial business, and I was now building the company that actually worked, and very successfully. This wasn't just about paying the bills. This was about proving something. I wanted to prove to myself, to my old boss who never believed in me, to people in my community who might have overlooked me, that I had something real to bring to the table, that I could build something from scratch. And honestly, those first few years, I was energized and I thrived on the grind and long days and endless shoots, constant networking. People around me encouraged that. They saw my drive and said, "You got this." And I began building a reputation of high quality work. And that began to build in me a feeling that I always had to live up to that. Here's the trap though. The passion and hustle feel great at the beginning. But if you don't put guardrails in place, you start tying your entire identity and your self-worth to your performance, which is what I did, to the opinions of others, and that's a dangerous foundation to build your life upon. It took me years to realize that's exactly what I had been doing. Fast forward a few years, and something started to shift. The first warning sign was that I did not want to do the creative work anymore. The thing that used to light me up, the thing that I couldn't wait to dive into every day, suddenly I didn't care about it anymore. And listen, I get it that everyone has an off week and everyone has tasks that they don't enjoy, but this was something different, something deeper. I felt unmotivated, not just for the business tasks, but for the thing I had once loved most, visual storytelling. I also noticed that my energy levels tanked. I was at my heaviest weight physically, and my anxiety started to climb. And I began fearing that I couldn't live up to the reputation that I had built, that somehow people would find out that I was a fraud. I felt like I was giving more and more of myself, but getting nothing back. No joy, no purpose, no fulfillment, just exhaustion. And then on top of that, life hit. Personal struggles, grief, stress. It was a cocktail perfect for the unprepared. Suddenly, I had nothing left to give. And the rock bottom moment came one night at a restaurant with my wife. We were sitting in a booth, a nice place, people all around us, and we just ordered drinks, and I started to cry out of nowhere. Earlier that day, I had tried to write down my thoughts, but when I looked at her, all I could say was, "I feel broken." I felt like a failure, like I had let my team down, like I had let my wife down, and worst of all, that I was admitting defeat. Luckily, I had a partner who held my hand and sat in that grief with me. She didn't try to fix it. She just stayed there with me, and in that moment, I realized how far I had fallen. Burnout had taken my creativity, My self-esteem was at an all-time low, and at work I kept up appearances, but at home I would collapse. My wife felt the brunt of that, and I hated myself for it. Because here's the thing about burnout. It doesn't usually start with physical exhaustion. It starts when the thing that you love stops bringing you joy, and you ignore it. And I had ignored it for far too long. As I prepared to record this video, I asked my wife what this time was like, and she said, "You were a shell of a person." Thankfully, the story doesn't end there. A friend recommended a book to me, Leading on Empty, and in those pages, I saw myself. He described exactly what I was feeling, and for the first time, I realized that I wasn't crazy, I wasn't alone, and I was just burnt out. So I made a decision. I was going to take a sabbatical, 1 month off to rest, to reflect, and to decide. Would I keep running the company or close up shop or sell it? And so my wife and I spent 2 weeks in the Colorado mountains. I read, I journaled, I prayed, and I started to unpack that emotional mess that had built up inside me. And in that space, I realized I had to let go of control. I had to stop obsessing over what other people thought of me. All right, I'm going to pause here and share with you the place that we came in Colorado for 2 weeks. This is a grounding point in my life, in my history, because it's where I started to heal and process what I had been pushing myself through for the last 5 years. And it's also where I learned a technique, a Japanese practice called forest bathing, which is healing in nature, being surrounded by nature. And it was a piece that was missing in my life, honestly. And this has become a rhythm for us in our life. We come here every year, now with our kids, and we spend time by fighting for that margin and being in nature. So if you're feeling burnt out, how are you fighting for margin in your own life? Because margin does not happen naturally. It happens one of two ways, intentionally or forced upon you. So which are you going to choose? All right, let's get back to the main video. I'm going to walk through the next steps I took to rebuild. When we got back, I started saying no. For a whole year, we didn't do the things we used to love, like board games with friends or concerts together. I simply didn't have that emotional energy at that stage. I also continued the rhythm I had started during the sabbatical of starting each day reading, journaling, and doing devotions. That helped me process and reflect. I'd like to say that I bounced back quickly, but this recovery wasn't quick. It wasn't 3 months. It wasn't even a year. It took 4 years before I felt like myself again. Eventually, I sold that business, and that decision hurt. It felt like letting go of part of my identity. But it also gave me space to start fresh. From Leading on Empty, one line that stuck with me: "Those who have come through burnout will live along the border for a few years. You have escaped the prison of depression, but you're not home yet. Be wise, live differently, but don't get overconfident." That was me, living on the border, learning to do much less and rebuilding slowly. And during the sabbatical, my wife and I spent some time talking through what it was that we wanted our lives to look like. And out of that, we created 3 pillars that we live by. Do what is right, not what is easy. Steward what is given, and fight for margin. These became the pillars of our life, and they keep me from slipping back. And after all of that, I can truly say that I am happy again. I am passionate about the work that I do, but I also make more time for relationships and for rest and for living life not defined by what or how much I do, but by how I do it. So what does this mean for you? Have you ever written down your why behind what you are doing? And if you have, when was the last time that you looked at it? If you pulled it out today, would it still light you up, or would it feel a little off? Do you notice yourself pulling back from friends or family, choosing isolation instead of connection? What would it look like to push against that by reaching out to just one person this week? What guardrails do you have in place? What are the non-negotiables that keep you grounded when things get busy? And if you don't have them, what would your life look like if you did? I want you to really sit with those questions because the burnout doesn't happen in one big dramatic moment. It creeps in slowly. And the more intentional you are right now, the more you protect the joy that first made you want to create. So, if you're chasing your dream right now, remember this. Passion is fuel, but it's not endless fuel. Without rhythms, without guardrails, it will and can run you into the ground. I personally burned out hard and had to climb back the hard way, but I did come back, and I believe that you can too. If this resonates with you, please hit subscribe because I've got more videos coming on how to build your creative work into a business that you're proud of.